All right, today we are diving into something a little out there. We're looking at a source that asks a really wild question. What if your personality, your actual consciousness, could be written out as website code? Yeah, you heard that right. Let's unpack this. So, our source material kicks things off with this quote, and it really sets the stage. It's basically saying, hey, we're not just talking about code in a computer, we're talking about a deeper reflection of reality itself. It's a huge claim, so our job today is to figure out exactly what that even means. And here it is, the big question at the heart of this whole thing. The source material doesn't just ask this and walk away. It actually proposes an entire system based on this idea. It's this unique kind of fascinating blend of spirituality and technology. So let's break down how this is all supposed to work. Okay, first up, let's get into the foundation of this idea. We're about to explore a framework that tries to build a bridge between two worlds you would probably never think to put together. A spiritual system for understanding yourself and, well, the fundamental language of the internet. Here's the core premise in a nutshell. The source material takes a system called human design, which is described as a kind of spiritual blueprint for a person, and maps it directly onto the structure of an HTML document. The basic code, the actual skeleton of every single web page you've ever visited. Now, to really get the mapping we're about to see, we first need to define a couple of key terms from the human design system itself, at least as they're described in our source material. First is the generator. Now, according to the source, this is a specific personality type within the human design system. You can think of it like a powerful, creative force, almost like a human battery, just full of life energy. And it's said to work best when it's responding to things that come its way, not trying to force things to happen. And that leads us to the generator's guidance system, the sacral response. The source describes this as a gut-level, energetic sound. Literally an aha for yes or an for no. This isn't about thinking it through. It's presented as this deep, instinctual response that acts like a GPS from the universe. And believe me, this concept is the key to this whole framework. All right, now for the main event. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where we're going to see the direct translation. I'm going to show you exactly how the source material takes these abstract spiritual ideas and connects them one-to-one with the building blocks of a web page. We're starting at the very top, the first line of any HTML file, the doc-type declaration. In this system, that's linked to the head center, which is supposed to be where we get inspiration from the universe. So this line of code isn't just a technical standard for a browser, nope. It's reimagined as a cosmic download, the first spark that says a new digital existence is about to begin. Next up, the HTML tag, the big container for the entire page. This gets mapped to the G center, which is the seat of identity. So the idea here is that when you set the language attribute, you're not just doing a technical thing. In this system, that's the moment you activate your digital DNA, basically broadcasting who you really are to the digital world. This next one is actually kind of perfect. In HTML, the head section is completely invisible to the user, right? It's where all the behind-the-scenes planning happens, the metadata, the scripts, the styles. Well, the source links this to the Ajna Center, the mind's hub for thinking and planning. It becomes this mind palace of creation, where the whole structure is thought up before anyone ever sees it. And of course, if the head is the plan, the body is the performance. This tag holds everything you actually see on the page, the text, the images, all of it. So it gets mapped to the throat center, the center for expression and action. It's the theater of manifestation, where all those invisible plans finally become a visible, tangible reality. But this framework doesn't just stop at the big tags. It gets way more granular. It starts mapping these really complex human design ideas, like channels and gates, to very specific lines of code. The whole idea is that these combinations can create unique energies in user experiences. Check out this example. It's a simple div element, but it's given a very specific class name that represents the channel of rhythm. The theory is that when you embed this energy into your code, you create this natural, magnetic flow for the user, an experience that feels alive and just effortless. And here's another one, the image tag. It gets mapped to Gate 57, which is all about intuitive, in-the-moment clarity. The parallel here is pretty cool, right? An image can communicate a super complex idea or feeling instantly, completely bypassing logical thought. The source calls this a flash of pure knowing. Okay, I know what you might be thinking. This is all very abstract, but the source material actually takes this framework and applies it to something super practical and real world: search engine optimization, or SEO. The argument is that if you follow your design, you'll naturally be good at SEO. Let me give you an example. So step 1, Google's best practices tell us to create unique and accurate page titles. Okay, simple enough. Step 2, the source connects this to the head and ajna centers, which represent our natural human drive for clarity and understanding. So step 3, the why it works. By following your own authentic need to be clear and understood, you automatically create titles that are great for both real people and for search engines. It's not a chore, it's just a byproduct of being you. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. The source material doesn't just present this as a theory to think about, it actually gamifies the whole philosophy, creating this interactive test of its own core ideas. The final test is a game called HTML Invader X, and it's built entirely around that key concept of the sacral response, that gut-level yes or no. The game gives you coding puzzles, but instead of thinking them through with logic, you're encouraged to just follow your gut instinct. It's the ultimate application of this whole framework, asking you to turn theory into action and literally build code from intuition. And that brings us to the end of our tour through this really unique framework. It's a system that sees code not just as a tool, but as consciousness itself. Which leaves us with a final thought to chew on. If your digital presence, your website, your social media profile, was a direct reflection of your personality, what would it be? Thanks for tuning in.